Welcome back to my channel Celebuzz. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. In a rare and explosive moment at the Vatican, Cardinal Raymond Leo Burke, an outspoken advocate for traditional Catholic values, confronted Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a rising star within the Church, aligned with Pope Francis's progressive agenda. This dramatic encounter, witnessed by several cardinals, has stunned the Catholic world, raising questions about the future direction of the Church and its leadership. The confrontation between these two powerful figures, Burke, the symbol of traditionalism, and Tagle, the face of a more inclusive and merciful Church, reveals the deep ideological divide that has been growing within Vatican circles for years. Cardinal Burke is well known for his unwavering commitment to the preservation of traditional Catholic doctrine. A prominent figure in conservative Catholic circles, Burke has been vocal about his opposition to some of Pope Francis's reforms, particularly on issues such as marriage, divorce, and the Church's approach to the LGBTQ+ community. Burke believes that the Church should hold steadfast to its teachings, and that adapting to modern societal pressures would be a betrayal of Catholic tradition. His views have earned him a loyal following among traditionalist Catholics, who see him as a defender of orthodoxy in an era of increasing secularization and progressive change. On the other hand, Cardinal Taggle represents the more progressive wing of the Church, closely aligned with Pope Francis's vision of a Church that emphasizes mercy, inclusivity, and social justice. Taggle's rise through the Vatican ranks has been nothing short of meteoric. Known for his compassion and humility, Tagle has built a strong rapport with Catholics, particularly in developing nations, where his approach resonates deeply with communities struggling with poverty and inequality. His leadership style reflects Pope Francis's emphasis on building bridges rather than walls, fostering a more inclusive and merciful approach to pastoral care. The confrontation between Burke and Tagle took place during what was supposed to be a routine meeting of cardinals. However, according to eyewitness accounts, Cardinal Burke abruptly raised his voice, accusing Cardinal Tagle of betraying the fundamental teachings of the Church. Some witnesses described Burke as visibly angry, pointing his finger at Tagle and making strong allegations about his loyalty to traditional Catholic doctrine. The atmosphere in the room was tense, with several cardinals reportedly caught off guard by Burke's outburst. What was particularly striking about this encounter was Tagle's response, or rather, his lack of one. Instead of engaging in a fiery exchange, Tagle maintained his composure throughout the confrontation. While clearly shocked and uncomfortable, he did not escalate the situation or respond in kind to Burke's accusations. His calm demeanor in the face of such aggression spoke volumes about his leadership style and personal character. Tagle's restraint during this heated moment only added to his reputation as a thoughtful and diplomatic leader, one who values peace and unity over conflict and division. The reaction from the other cardinals in the room was equally revealing. Many were reportedly stunned into silence, unsure of how to react to the escalating confrontation. A few attempted to diffuse the tension, but their efforts were largely unsuccessful. The confrontation between Burke and Tagle did not occur in a vacuum. It is a reflection of the broader ideological battle within the Catholic Church, where traditionalists and progressives have long been at odds over how the Church should respond to the challenges of the modern world. Cardinal Burke has long been a vocal critic of Pope Francis's approach, particularly on issues such as divorce and remarriage. Burke's opposition to the Pope's landmark document, Amoris Laetitia, which advocates for a more compassionate approach to pastoral care for divorced and remarried Catholics, has been a major point of contention. Burke believes that allowing divorced and remarried Catholics to receive communion would undermine the Church's teachings on the indissolubility of marriage. In his view, the Church must remain firm in its teachings, even if it means alienating modern society. Burke has even gone as far as questioning the Pope's authority, signing formal petitions challenging some of Francis's teachings. In stark contrast, Cardinal Taggle has embraced Pope Francis's vision of a Church that is more open, inclusive, and merciful. While he remains committed to core Catholic teachings, Taggle has advocated for a more pastoral approach that prioritizes care and understanding over rigid adherence to doctrine. His leadership has been characterized by a focus on compassion, especially for marginalized communities such as the poor, the sick, and the oppressed. Tagle has also been a vocal advocate for the Church's role in addressing social justice issues, such as poverty, inequality, and the refugee crisis. Tagle's approach to these issues has earned him widespread admiration, particularly among Catholics in the Global South, where the Church faces significant challenges in addressing the needs of impoverished and marginalized communities. His leadership is seen as a reflection of Pope Francis's desire to bring the Church closer to the people, especially those who have been left behind by society. Tagle's influence within the Vatican has led many to speculate that he could one day be elected as Pope, especially given his popularity among cardinals who support the Pope's progressive agenda. This ideological divide between Burke and Tagle is not just about theological differences. It is about the future of the Catholic Church itself. The Church is at a crossroads, facing challenges that range from declining attendance in the West to questions about its relevance in a rapidly changing world. Issues such as gender equality, LGBTQ+ rights, and the role of women in the Church are all areas where traditionalists and progressives differ sharply. The question of how the Church should adapt to these changing social norms is a key point of contention, with traditionalists like Burke calling for a return to orthodoxy and progressives like Tagle advocating for a more inclusive and compassionate approach. The confrontation between Burke and Tagle is a clear manifestation of these tensions. It highlights the deep divisions within the Church, divisions that are not easily reconciled. As the Catholic Church continues to grapple with its identity in the 21st century, these ideological battles are likely to become more pronounced. The outcome of this struggle will have significant implications for the Church's future, particularly in terms of its ability to remain relevant and maintain unity in an increasingly secular world. The confrontation between Cardinal Raymond Burke and Cardinal Luis Tagle represents more than just a personal dispute. It is a dramatic reflection of the deeper ideological schism that has been simmering within the Catholic Church for decades. At its heart, this clash between traditionalism and progressivism symbolizes the growing tensions between those who wish to uphold the Church's long-standing doctrines and those who believe the Church must evolve to meet the needs of a modern, increasingly secular world. The public nature of the confrontation has raised critical questions about the future direction of the Vatican and the role of its leadership. Cardinal Burke's vocal opposition to Pope Francis has been well documented, especially on matters such as the Pope's approach to divorce, remarriage, and LGBTQ+ inclusion. Burke has consistently been a staunch defender of Catholic orthodoxy and has argued that the Church must resist any attempts to water down its teachings in response to changing social norms. For Burke, the preservation of tradition is essential to the Church's identity, and he has warned that any departure from these teachings could lead to spiritual chaos. His views have garnered significant support among traditionalist Catholics, especially in countries like the United States where there is a strong conservative Catholic presence. However, Burke's hardline stance has also made him a polarizing figure. While his defenders see him as a champion of Church doctrine, his critics view him as an obstacle to necessary reform. His confrontation with Cardinal Taggle underscores the deep divide between these two camps within the Church. On one side are the traditionalists who are determined to safeguard the Church's teachings, and on the other, the progressives, who are advocating for a more flexible, compassionate, and inclusive Church. In contrast to Burke, Cardinal Tagle has emerged as one of the key figures in Pope Francis's efforts to transform the Church into a more merciful and inclusive institution. Tagle's leadership style is centered around empathy, dialogue, and social justice. His reputation as a humble and approachable leader has won him many admirers, particularly among Catholics in the global South, where issues such as poverty, inequality, and social justice are of paramount importance. Tagle's message of compassion and inclusion aligns closely with Pope Francis's vision of a Church that serves the marginalized and promotes social change. Tagle's rise within the Vatican has led many to speculate that he could one day be a candidate for the papacy. His warm personality, diplomatic skills, and strong support among progressive cardinals make him a formidable figure in the ongoing debate over the future direction of the Church. However, his close association with Pope Francis also means that he has become a lightning rod for criticism from traditionalists like Burke, who view him as a proponent of what they see as a dangerous departure from Catholic orthodoxy. The fallout from the Burke-Tagle confrontation could have far-reaching consequences for both cardinals. For Cardinal Burke, this public outburst could signal the beginning of a more significant backlash against his influence within the Vatican. Burke has already faced criticism for his outspoken opposition to Pope Francis and his controversial stance on issues such as the role of women in the Church. His ability to remain a central figure in Vatican politics may be increasingly questioned, especially if his confrontational approach continues to alienate his fellow cardinals. Pope Francis, known for his focus on unity and reconciliation, may now be faced with a difficult decision. Does he step in to address the growing tensions between Burke and Tagle, or does he allow the conflict to play out on its own? In the past, Pope Francis has shown a willingness to discipline those who threaten the unity of the Church, and he may feel compelled to intervene in this situation. However, doing so could risk further exacerbating the divisions within the Vatican. If he were to take action against Burke, it could alienate the traditionalist factions within the Church, who already feel marginalized by Francis's reforms. On the other hand, if Pope Francis were to support Cardinal Burke or fail to address the confrontation, it could be seen as a tacit endorsement of Burke's conservative views. This would likely lead to further polarization within the Church, as progressives would interpret such a move as a betrayal of the Pope's own vision for a more inclusive and compassionate Church. The Church is at a critical juncture, and Pope Francis's response to this incident could have lasting implications for its future direction. For Cardinal Tagle, the fallout from this public confrontation could be more complex. While his calm and composed response during the altercation has won him praise for his leadership, the public nature of the confrontation may also draw unwanted attention to the ideological divisions within the Vatican. Tagle's supporters are likely to view his handling of the situation as a demonstration of his Christ-like approach to conflict resolution. However, his critics may see his failure to directly challenge Burke as a sign of weakness or a lack of conviction in defending his own beliefs. Ultimately, the most significant impact of this confrontation may be on the Catholic Church as a whole. The Church is already grappling with a number of significant challenges, including declining attendance in the West, the rise of secularism, and ongoing scandals related to sexual abuse. These issues have put immense pressure on the Church's leadership to adapt and find a way forward that preserves its relevance and credibility in the modern world. The growing ideological divide between traditionalists and progressives adds an additional layer of complexity to this already difficult situation. As the Church navigates these challenges, the Burke-Tagle confrontation serves as a reminder of the deep divisions that exist within its ranks. These divisions are not just about theology or doctrine, they are about the future of the Church itself. Will the Church continue to hold fast to its traditional teachings, or will it evolve to meet the needs of a changing world? This is the central question that the Church must answer in the coming years. In conclusion, the confrontation between Cardinal Burke and Cardinal Tagle is more than just a personal dispute. It is a reflection of the broader ideological struggle within the Catholic Church. This struggle will shape the future of the Church for generations to come. Whether the Church will find a way to reconcile these differing views, or whether the divisions will deepen, remains to be seen. One thing is clear: the Catholic Church is at a crossroads, and how it navigates this moment will determine its future.